Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Common Sense Academy stream. Joe Palmetto, Joe the lawyer here. I teased the live show for last night at 10, and I got all tired and I bowed out. So I teased this one for 8 o'clock, and I made it a little after 8:08, but I feel good. I think more people can make it when it's a little bit earlier. So I'm glad I'm here, and I'm glad we're here at 8 o'clock. Let me grab, I always have a notebook right by my side. I forgot to grab it. Let me grab my notebook real quick. Good evening, James. Hello, Adam, Tom, Spirit of Destiny. Thank you for joining us. Con Clark, Barbecue Bob, my man, Tom Castro. Hello, everybody. Hey, Kevin, thank you for stopping in. I'm glad I had a live stream when you were awake as well. Hey, Michael, thanks for coming. I'm glad this is within everybody's time frame tonight. So, hey, Chief, how you doing? Thanks for dropping in. Hudson in Florida, how you doing? Let me take a look real quick because I dropped I got a lot of questions and topics dropped to me, and I appreciate it. So I want to pull those up, and I can talk about those. But if anybody has something interesting they want to talk about right off the bat, we can do that. I will say, Tom, have initial gathering, more specific. Tom, you mentioned, who was that dude you mentioned? I watched Ronnie Nicholson. I love countdowns for more countdowns. Ronnie, who was that sovereign citizen that you gave me? I looked him up. He runs the Bears, the Bear Law. Let's look that up real quick. Bears Law. Who was that guy? What a maniac. Shoot, I would have to look it up. Tom Castro. What was that guy? What was that sovereign citizen's name? Hey, Navy, what's up? How's the Navy? Ronnie Lee Adams. Okay. Ronnie Lee Davis, Ronnie Lee Adams. That guy, I got to do some videos on him. He's a maniac. I guess he went to jail in 2017. Ronnie Lee Davis, I guess he went to jail in 2017 and he got out. The scary thing about him is he's rolling up into these police stations and district attorneys' offices with a crew. I mean, with a crew. It's almost a form of intimidation, which I've seen some of these other sovereign citizen groups do. I mean, they show up with a lot of people. These offices. It's almost a form of intimidation. And I see them do that. They do that. They've done that in a courtroom as well. I wonder how they finally got Ronnie. I got to look into that a little bit more. But man, his people, they were filming in the elevator talking about an idiocracy. I was like, you want to talk about an idiocracy? I mean, who's the real idiocracy here? It just blew my mind. And he's got those T-shirts made, and he's got this little law group that he has. They charge people with genocide. I mean, you got to be kidding me. But that guy was very persistent. The video you tagged me in, yeah, it is called Stuff. The video you tagged me in was just hilarious, Tom. I didn't finish it. I watched the first 10 minutes or so, but I'm going to be doing more watching on him. I mean, he's got these shirts. He set up these law offices, just like this Anthony Williams guy, who I've been watching a little more of his videos. I mean, this shit is just mind blowing. Excuse my language. And the problem I see as well sometimes when these guys go to the offices is like law enforcement. I almost feel bad for them because I don't know if law enforcement is either taken off guard or they're just trying to be nice and open. But they put up with this crap for way too long. But I also think that sometimes law enforcement, if they haven't dealt with them too much or been trained on it, doesn't necessarily have the tools to shoot these guys down. Okay, because if I start this guy come into my office and start talking to me about the common law that rules all over the countries, all over the entire country, and how he's registered and licensed all over the country because he's a common law practitioner. I mean, I would laugh him out of my office immediately. I mean, I would just be like, I would make him leave. And I'm sure that happens. We just don't get to see those videos because why would they post that on the internet? Yeah, everybody. So Chief Tuttle, he gave me, and as I've been telling and teasing, I'm working on a book, and I've got over 12,000 words right now. I still have a lot of topics to dig into. I don't know how long it's going to be. It may be 20,000 words at the end of the day. It may be more than that. I'm letting the content sort of determine how long the book is going to be, because I get into a topic and I'm like, oh, I have to mention this. I have to mention this. I have to mention that. So it gets longer and longer. But Chief Tuttle, who many of you probably know, was a police chief out in Ohio, a very long and distinguished career. He provided me with 10 tips for law enforcement officers. I got it right here. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. He also gave me a couple other pages of recommendations, and I'm going to use that in the book. So what I'm going to do in the book is there will be a section on how, so just some advice, general advice on how law enforcement can deal with sovereign citizens, how judges can deal with sovereign citizens, and how lawyers can deal with sovereign citizens, because we're the ones that really have to deal with them when the metal hits the pedal. However, other government officials have to deal with them too, so they could read this book and get an idea of it. You know, civilians have to deal with them. Well, they usually don't have to worry about them because they're only raging against the government most of the time. I do the same time sip at 15 minutes in, everybody. 15 minutes. What's this Ohio stuff? You got, oh man, Navy is killing me in here. Navy is killing me in here. Oh man, Ohio. I heard today on Facebook, so I don't know if this is true or not, that Ohio, despite the shutdown, you can still go golfing in Ohio. Is that true, Navy? Is that true? I heard you can still golf in Ohio. So PA's on a pretty strict shutdown order, I believe. I don't know, depends on your definition of strict, right? But there was an article popped up. The state police out in the eastern part of the state cited somebody for violating the governor's order. So I thought it's a minor citation, whatever. I listen, I know a lot of Republicans who were very anti-government, and they got upset about that citation. So that was interesting. But I'm not going to make a big deal over one citation out of a state of 8 or 9 or 10 million people, or however. It's probably even more than that here. Same time sip at 15 minutes. For now, as long as it's outside golf. You can golf in Ohio. So everybody was praising Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. A lot of people were praising Ohio Governor Mike DeWine and his handling. He was sort of on top of the coronavirus before a lot of governors are. I don't know how you Ohio residents feel about Mike DeWine. Do you guys like him overall? I mean, he looks like a sensible character. I don't know. Police in Philly are making sure people are staying 6 feet apart. Are they really, Steve? I didn't hear about that. I did see some stuff, with police going up and talking to people, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good idea. I'm for law enforcement regulating the shutdown. I just hope that they do it with a soft hand right now. I mean, obviously, if a person gets out of hand, but police on walking around telling people, hey, can you guys move apart, please, 6 feet apart, or you can't be here. I'm for it. I think it's very reasonable. Chief Tuttle, you like 2:00 wine with the wine. Oh, I saw that in the article. He's doing a radio show, or he's going on TV every day at 2, and everybody's drinking with him. That's hilarious. I hope he picks up a beer and cheers with everybody. I think he handled very well, better than some states. Walmart is permitting 1 person per 1,000 square feet. I heard that too. I heard about the Walmart stuff. The wine seems great. He even got some love from Dems. So yeah, I saw that. If you are 5 or more, we can't fish or camp in Washington State. Jeez. Washington got hit hard early on, so that you may be seeing a bit of an overreaction. A lot of people here in PA are still going out and fishing. I kind of wanted to go fishing, but I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm just staying in for the most part. Do sovereign citizens have the right to fly an airplane? Asking for a friend. Well, Joe Donho, under the provisions of admiralty law, it gives them the right to be on a plane, and then UCC Special Section 45B allows that any citizen the absolute right to fly a plane whenever they want. So go look up the admiralty law, go look up the UCC, and you will see the sovereign citizens, yes, they have the right to fly a plane. Thanks for joining, my friend. Thank you for coming in, Joe Donho. And a lot of places don't accept cash anymore. Oh, no cash. No cash. I haven't heard that, Rajon. Maybe that's just going on up in Canada. That's interesting. That is interesting. I shared a soft sit video on a live stream so we could watch and laugh. The viewers really liked your breakdown. You got a few subs. Thank you, Ms. V. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, drop my content anywhere. I think people like it. I got a couple complaints in the comments, and the guy was like, stop talking and you'll get more viewers. I mean, here's the thing. There's a million soft sit channels out there, okay? I'm not going to be, and there's other channels that do it very, very well where they just drop the video. So I tell these people in my comments, I say, look, you don't want my commentary, you don't want my little spin on things, then don't watch. I'm not here just to drop the videos. This is where you find the video, go ahead and watch it. But there's other channels out there that just drop the videos. So, I want people to come here because they like the videos and they like me. If you don't like me, that's fine. Watch something else. Jagoffs. Statewide shelter in place in Alabama. FAA, I'm not flying, I'm traveling. Right? First Amendment auditor turned sovereign citizen came to our firehouses back in jail. What's he back in jail for, Adam? You do a great job. Never mind the whiners. I won't. I just, I'm always just like, dude, like, shut up. That's all. Like, why you got to even drop that comment? Like, go somewhere else. Go somewhere else. You know what I mean? Whiners. Okay. Well, I got, wait, that's it. Hello, Cat Slave. Hello. Thank you everybody for joining tonight. So in writing the book, well, let's see. What do you guys want me to do? Do you want me to, I can talk about the book. I can take direct questions. I can go to some of the people who posted questions last night, or I can just bounce everything. We can just chat back and forth. Anybody have any suggestions? Maybe I'll go through the comments from last night. All right, let's do that. Where do these find all these soft sit morons? That's a good question, Cat Slave. I mean, I think that the morons find the soft sits. I think that's how it goes. Is the people who are down and out, and that's something I'm going to do in the book. I'm going to put a couple of different categories of sovereign citizens, and it's going to be. You like the chat? You like doing the chat, James? Okay. it's going to be, I broke it down into 4 categories. It's not scientific. Okay. Joe Dono, thank you. Thank you very much. The states are emptying the jails because of coronavirus. Why do they have so many prisoners in the first place? That's a good question. There are 2 types. I'll tell you what the prisoners, okay? There are basically 2 categories of prisoners, and then these can be broken down into subcategories. You have people who are in jail awaiting trial, and then you have people who are in prison or jail, okay, because they've been convicted and sentenced for their crimes. So those are the 2 major categories, right? Number 1, people incarcerated awaiting trial or a hearing. And number 2, people who have been convicted and are serving a sentence. Let me be clear. The people right now who are being released, okay, are not these people in the second category. If they have been sentenced to be convicted and sentenced of a crime, they are doing a term of imprisonment. All right. And they are not going to be released under any circumstances. Okay. If they got coronavirus, they would be isolated within the prison. They would be sent to a hospital if that was necessary. All right. And then brought back. But I'm telling you, they are not just let out. Okay. Those people don't just get out. It doesn't happen. They've been given a sentence from a judge that they have to serve. That may be 1 year. It may be 2 years. Maybe 5 to 10 years. It may be a life sentence, right? They're not letting out. People who are on life sentences. Okay. Now, I don't know what the majority of the jail and prison population is. All right. To break it down for you, Joe Donho, honestly, I don't know. It's maybe 50 or 60% is the people who have been sentenced. It may be much less than that. I would have to look it up. All right. But those people are not getting out under any circumstances. Okay. They've been convicted. Now, the people who are sort of getting out because of coronavirus are the people who are awaiting trial. Anytime you have been accused of a crime and you have been arrested, the first thing that's going to happen, we see this in the Sovereign Citizen videos, is you're going to see a judge. Okay. The police, they can detain you until you see a judge, or they can release you and serve you with a court date by summons. For felonies, you are almost always going to be detained, or a warrant is going to be put out for you. For misdemeanors, I believe it's more or less at the discretion of law enforcement. And then for minor offenses, at least in Pennsylvania, they're called summaries. You're not going to go to jail for those. Misdemeanors is in the middle. So like a DUI, sometimes the police will take someone and hold them overnight. And sometimes they won't. Okay. So you got this population of people in jail who are awaiting trial. Now, those people may have minor offenses, and the judge may have given them a bond of, say, like $5,000, which is a low bond. But if they are so poor, they can't even post a $5,000 bond, they may sit in jail until their trial date. Okay. In my experience in here in Pittsburgh and Allegheny County is generally nobody's going to get a monetary. You probably won't get any type of monetary bond. Okay. Unless it's number 1, a serious or violent offense, or you're dealing like a shit ton of dope. Okay. Or you are a repeat offender. Okay. You're in and out. Even if it's something minor, it's over and over and over again. Most people, first time they pick up a misdemeanor, they're never going to see the inside of a jail. Okay. So you have these people in jail being held on low bonds. They probably repeat offenders, or it's some sort of serious crime. Those are the people who are getting out because of coronavirus. Now, people who are still awaiting trial but charged with serious crimes, which isn't always a violent crime. It could be dealing a large amount of drugs, stealing a large amount of money, or it could be a violent crime. Those people are not getting out. The people who are getting out are low-level offenders who are awaiting trial, not people who have already been tried and convicted and sent to jail. So that was the question, Jordana. Now, why do they have so many prisoners in the first place? That's a good question. This may be unpopular and politically incorrect, okay? But it may be because this country has a lot of crime, okay? Prison rates are likely directly related to crime rates. So if you have more crime, you're going to have more people in prison. And I don't base this on this. Actually, there's a great book. I have. Okay. Where the hell did I put it? Hold on a second. Let me get this book. I'll be right back. Okay, Dr. Steven Pinker. This is a tremendous book. I believe he's a psychiatrist, okay, and a professor, and just one of the most intelligent people out there. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Steven Pinker. Anyway, he talks about how the United States dealt with a rise in crime. First of all, oh, we're going to get so politically incorrect here. He connects a rise in crime to sort of the cultural revolution that occurred in the United States in the 1960s. Okay, so we have this crime rate sort of shoots up in the 70s and 80s, and how does the United States react? Well, we put more and more people in jail, and law enforcement got better and smarter in the 80s and 90s as well. And we put more and more people in jail because there was more and more crime. Now, that's not a popular opinion, and that's probably not the politically correct opinion, but there are studies that will directly show why does the United States have the highest prison or jail rate? It's because we have an extremely high crime rate. And we're pretty good at solving crime, even though the majority of crimes are still going to go unsolved. But this book right here is a really, really good book. And I recommend anybody reading it. It's called The Better Angels of Our Nature. So why do we have a prison? And look, I'm for a lot of the aspects of criminal justice reform, but I'm not for all of them. But we're such a terrible country because we put people in jail. Well, we have more crime. So of course you're going to have more people in jail. So yeah, Mike. So, I think that's a question now. So the real question is, why does our country have more crime? Right. And that's a deeper question that I don't have the answer to. Okay. Why does our country have more crime? People on different ends of the political aisle, are going to have different opinions on that, why we have more crime. I do think it's a positive step to legalize marijuana. I think legalizing marijuana would probably reduce the incarceration rate. Most people now, at least where I practice, you're never going to see a jail cell if you have possession of marijuana. I mean, I had a guy who I have a guy pretty much every 6 months he gets caught with a bag of weed. Okay, every 6 months he gets caught with a bag of weed. and he hires me, and we go into court, and he pays a fine, and that's it. Okay. Now, dealing is different. If you're dealing large amounts, then you may end up in jail. So a legalization of marijuana would eliminate that. Okay, everybody, I didn't do the same time sip. So thank you, everybody, for coming today. This is Common Sense Academy. We're all locked down on the corona. We got a good crew today. I feel really good. I'm glad everybody came to join me. Let's raise our cup in the air. Today I'm drinking Diet Coke. I was trying to cut back on my caffeine. I did well for 2 days. Today I had 2 cups of coffee, 2 Diet Cokes. I'm still going strong. Raise your cup in the air, your glass, your chalice, whatever it is. It tastes better when we sip together. Cheers. Good stuff. Good stuff. Tom, I hope you didn't use that Raider cup. Okay. Diet Dr. Pepper. Low-level crime should not be a major crime. I agree. I agree. Drinking Kofef. I agree, Chief. Bella Pelosi in pencil. Oh, come on. Isn't it we don't have enough guns? Da 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 da. Sir Robert Peel. I'm not too familiar with him, Chief, but maybe I have to look him up. In the UK, Sir Robert Peel. Hey, Joe, I asked Virgo last night. He wasn't sure. Could STGB be let out with time served due to this pandemic we are having? Yeah, that depends, Andrew, on just so many factors. And that's, it's crazy because I have a lot of clients who are in jail and I'm doing everything I can to help them. But they see other people get out and they say, oh, that guy had a more serious offense than me and he's getting out. It's like, well, everybody's case is different. But more relevant is everybody's prior record is different. So I don't know what her prior record is. Okay. STGB. I don't know what her prior record is. Excuse me. And that's a major factor on whether a judge is going to let someone out. I'm not sure what her current bond is either. And it also depends on how many cases you have. Is she on probation? That's another big aspect of people who are in jails. Are those people likely picked up a new crime and they're on probation? Well, if you're on probation, first of all, you only go on probation because you committed and were convicted of a crime. So you go on probation, you were convicted of a crime, you pled guilty or were found guilty, you get a probationary period. It's on shortest it's generally going to be is 6 months. But usually it's like a year to 2 years. If you commit another crime within that 1 year, you committed a probation violation and they're going to hold you in jail, okay, on that probation violation. It's called a detainer. Because the first time you got in trouble, you sort of got a free pass, right? It was sort of a slap in the hand. We're going to give you probation. We're just going to we're going to put you out for a couple of years. That's all. So that's what a lot of these people, and not only are they awaiting their trial, they may have a probation violation. Some of those people will get out, but not all of them. I know in Allegheny County, they reviewed all probation detainers, a judge did, and let some of them out on the coronavirus, but kept a lot of them in as well because they're repeat violators. Risking catastrophe, she fled bail. So generally, if you violate your bond, if you flee once, a judge is going to revoke your bond and not let you out under any circumstances. That's one of the reasons you get a bond, right? Bond is meant to incentivize you to show up for your court dates, okay? Because there is, on a way, innocence until proven guilty. It's constitutional right. However, the courts need a way to get you to show up for your court date. So they say, look, we could hold you in jail until your trial, but we're going to let you out, but we're going to put a bond on you. Well, if you violate the conditions of the bond, and bond is not always monetary, it could be house arrest, all kinds of different things. If you violate the conditions of the bond, then you're the judge, and they catch you again, the judge is usually going to deny your bond. Thoughts on the Navy captain? Jamie, I don't know enough about it. I really don't know enough about it to comment. All I can say is that the chain of command is always, I mean, you know how it is being in the Navy. You always go through the chain of command first. And I don't know if he did that or didn't do that. I don't know exactly what he did, something about an email. But the chain of command is always first. And if I don't remember all my rules in the military, but I never had to go outside my chain of command for an issue. Okay, I wouldn't go outside my chain of command when I was in, and I would have maybe only gone outside of my chain of command if I had no other choice. I don't know exactly what this guy did. I really don't know. So I don't want to comment. I would need to read, multiple articles about it. But, my sense is that you got to respect the chain of command. The military doesn't function if the chain of command is not respected. Now, of course, there are certain aggravating circumstances where you can go outside the chain of command, but it better be really, really crazy, really, really serious. Boom, ba, 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 ba. How come you don't show Black Rifle coffee anymore? Well, I don't have it every time, Tom. It's I got my bag. Here's the thing, Tom. I had talked to the guys at a Black Rifle about their logo. It doesn't look like the Raiders logo, okay? It's the same color. But I called these guys up. They said the Raiders suck. I even heard that a couple of the Raiders are sovereign citizens. So listen, man, listen. You guys picked up Antonio Brown after the Steelers released him. And look, we're not going to take Antonio Brown in, Tom. We're not going to take him in. But we will take you in as a fan. And the first thing you got to do is just get rid of those cups. And you got to change your YouTube logo. Okay, a Steelers insignia will be acceptable. You can put a face. You can put like Terry Bradshaw or Franco Harris or Ben Roethlisberger's face in there, and we can be cool again. I mean, it could be worse. You could be a Washington Capitals fan. That's really the only thing maybe worse than being a Raiders fan. The Caps, I mean, come on. See, James said, listen to me. While I dislike Trump intensely, going public with what is ostensibly operational information is a serious act. Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful. Cat Slave, Steeler, are you a Browns fan? Cat Slave, do you like the Browns? Maybe the Browns are the only thing worse than the Raiders. I don't like the Ravens either. Raiders are in my DNA, and then you need a blood transfusion, Tom. We got to get you looked at. Football players are sovereign citizens. At least one of them is. At least one. Kabir Gabaja Biamila is out there in Wisconsin pulling sovereign citizen crap. Nope, maybe the Seahawks. I don't mind the Seahawks too much. He was critical of the Admiralty, so he was fired. Well, if that's why, wrote a letter, went against Navy procedure. I imagine it has a lot of different aspects. It's a heck of a decision to make to fire an admiral. So it's hard for me to really, really comment on. The Ravens are the real Browns. That's true. Very true. The Kings. I don't mind the Kings, Tom. I don't mind the Kings. You can have the Kings. The team I mind are the Capital. I don't like the in hockey. I don't like the Capitals. I don't like the Flyers. Those are probably the two biggest rivals for the Penguins. I'm not going to like the Islanders very much either. In football, I don't like the Ravens, the Patriots, the Browns. The thing with the Raiders is that rivalry is from the 70s with the Steelers and the Raiders. And so my parents felt it, my uncles, etc. The generation before me felt that a lot more. But it's passed down. So I'm not a fan of the Raiders. I'm sorry. It's just not going to be. The Navy guy knew what the result would be. He still did what he thought was right. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Have you ever dealt with a sob sit in your profession? I haven't dealt with them directly. When I was a public defender years ago, I remember getting one or two of them in our office. Not in our office, but at court. And the other attorneys go up to him and be like, "Hi, I'm here to represent you." And they'd be like, "What the hell is this guy talking about?" So I've seen them in action a couple of times. But in recent times, I haven't really dealt with one. So I don't have any good like personal stories, but I've seen them in action a few times. Where does his loyalty to the crew and their safety stop? Chain failed him if he did indeed send something and was ignored. Yeah, I mean, Jamie, that's a good point. If the chain of command failed him and he still felt he had to take certain action, then there may be an instance where it's justified. Again, I just don't have enough facts. I just don't have all the facts. I mean, to really, really do this, because it's such a, chain of command can really be such a detailed issue. You have to look at all the communications that went back and forth. I cannot say, I really just can't give an opinion on it one way or another. I just need more information. I have a friend from Cleveland. He's all about the Browns. Yeah, I mean, I give the Browns fans, I actually sympathize with Browns fans, and I give them credit for sticking by their horrible, horrible, downtrodden team. But I don't like the Browns. I don't like them. That's all. And in baseball, I don't like the Reds. I don't like the Cardinals. I don't like the Cubs, the teams that are in the Pirates division. And the Pirates have a long-standing hatred with the Atlanta Braves. So if any of you are Braves fans, you can kiss it. Artie likes to debate Moors and soft sits. I'll debate some Moors and soft sits. I kind of avoided it, but I'm on for it. Captain got railroaded. He may have. I really just need to know more about it. I mean, if it's just about him rubbing the higher ups the wrong way, then that's pretty. I would agree. Baseball is a great sport to sleep on. Hey, wait. Well, okay, all right. You guys got the Blue Jays, the Toronto Blue Jays. Immaculate reception is the only reason the Finns had a perfect season. The Raiders would have taken them out. What, but Tom, how does the Steelers beating the Raiders? Oh, you mean in the playoffs? Those were different seasons, man. Those were different seasons, Tom. Weren't they different seasons or no? You may be right. Well, you really have to have sympathy for anyone from Cleveland. What are my thoughts on the Panthers? The Pitt Panthers? The University of Pittsburgh? I mean, they're my team. That's my alma mater. I went to University of Pittsburgh for my undergrad, and then I went to Duquesne University, which is a private Catholic university here in Pittsburgh, for law school. I love the Pitt Panthers. I love them. I support them. They're usually not very good. The Penrith Panthers. The Pitt Panthers are usually not very good. Sometimes we upset some teams in football. About 10 years ago, we had a great basketball coach, Jamie Dixon, and Pitt sort of mistreated him towards the end there. I think he might have won it out anyway, but he's the best thing that ever happened to the University of Pittsburgh basketball. And we were in the tournament every year. We never really advanced. It was disappointing that we never advanced. But let me tell you, the program is way more disappointing without Jamie Dixon. I don't know how much you guys watch college basketball. The NFL team, the Carolina Panthers, I have no opinion on them, Talzuz. I don't have anything against them. They're just an NFC team. They are what they are. They got rid of Ron Rivera, which I don't know if that was smart, but I think he's a good coach. Maybe it was time to go. Looks like they're getting rid of Cam Newton. I don't know if that's a smart decision either, but again, it might just be time to move on. Sometimes new players and coaches need new places. Next week, Miami won the AFC title versus Pittsburgh. Oh, okay. You know your history better than I do, Tom. A live feed at the same time as yours. D-Gen, Chuck Chases the Facts, Virgo, Van the Man, and Mr. Swindle. Wow, I didn't get invited to that. I feel offended. Those guys didn't invite me. Oh, well. What are you going to do? Are inmates being released in PA to self-quarantine at home? I asked Virgo. I would hate to see her released. Her cult followers would call her delusional mumbo jumbo a victory. Yeah, I doubt she'll be released because she has some pretty serious charges. Legal ramifications to Fox News regarding COVID and the lawsuit that was filed against them. Is the cause in here? I'd need to know a little more on that. Best thing about the Panthers is they wear silver and black. It must have been cool to go to college in Japan. Yeah, I did a study abroad in Japan, Chief. It was cool. I was in Tokyo. Let me tell you guys. They wear masks. Okay. I remember. I first went to Japan. We want to talk about masks. When we talk about masks, face masks with the coronavirus. I first went to Japan in 2002. They were wearing masks back then. I don't know everything about how or when they wear masks, but when they get sick, they wear masks. Okay. And in 2000, I went back to Japan in 2009. The Japanese keep face masks like they have them in their medicine cabinet anytime they get sick. So when this virus hit, the whole population was masked up like that. What happens in a world disaster with people on lifetime sentences? Well, it would really, Drejan, it would really depend on how big the disaster is, don't you think? You know, when we were in World War II, I don't think the United States was letting any prisoners out, and that was a pretty big war. So people are going to be in jail unless you have a massive, massive, massive disaster. I mean, we're talking apocalyptic proportions where the government ceases to exist. Maybe then life sentencers could get out, okay? But nothing like that has happened, and I don't know how long. You know, the interesting thing to know would be like, what did the countries like Japan and Germany do in World War II when they were getting their butts kicked? Were they still keeping people in jail? I think they were. I mean, societies will run jails until the end. A higher clear-up rate for crime than we do. I'm not sure what you mean by clear-up rate. I know their crime rate is very low, Joe Donho. Their culture is very different from ours. East Asian culture is very different than Western culture. And their crime rates tend to be lower across the board, even when compared to like Western Europe, which has pretty low crime rates. Japan has extremely low crime rates. There's a very big culture of compliance, you could call it. The Confucian structure, which has been passed down for literally thousands of years in Japan, where you know, people are born into sort of, you know, they have a hierarchy, a system, and everybody is expected to respect that, right? You respect your elders, you respect your parents, you respect your grandparents, you respect authority figures, authority figures to a very, very high degree of deference. Our society, Western society, is much more individualistic. We are more skeptical of authority. We don't automatically give deference to people. It's our cultures are very different. Yeah, Jamie, they're not letting people out. Trust me, they're not letting violent or major offenders out. Well, yeah, Chief Tuttle's right about that too. Japanese law enforcement is no joke. I mean, Japanese law enforcement is no joke. And you just, frankly, you don't, their citizens, I can't say this for sure, but they probably don't have a lot of the rights that we have either. So the police have, in a way, they sort of have free reign to do what they need to do, okay, to shut shit down. And I talked about this before. Their structure themselves, they have these kobans in Japan, and there's like a police officer on every corner, even in Tokyo. There's a little police officer, and they sit at a desk, and there's a window, And because there's so little crime in Japan, these officers are just sitting there doing paperwork, and then they'll answer questions for you and stuff. So if you need directions, when I was learning Japanese, I wouldn't normally do this in America, right? If you need directions in America, you're not going to walk. Well, if I saw an officer on the street, I would ask them directions. I wouldn't feel wrong about that if I was downtown or something. But the Japanese they're called kobans, and in the kobans is an officer, and he just sits there with his little paperwork like this, and you come up and you can ask for directions and shit. But I think that's a nice deterrence, right? Like in America, our police are on patrol, okay, and so they're visible. At least in most neighborhoods, they're visible. But in Japan, law enforcement is even more visible. Now, I don't know what it's like out in the suburbs, okay, if they operate the kobans, but in their cities, every single block has a police officer or two stationed there. New York City, when you go to Times Square, they have like a little police box, a police box right in Times Square. And I always like it because it's like a cool ass sign. It says like New York NYPD or New York City Police in like this cool ass sign. I would like to see Saab sit with Asian cops. LOL. Rajan, I'm telling you, I don't know if there are any sovereigns in the Asian countries. I'm sure there are a few. I bet Japan has some scary sovereign citizen types. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are. I'm sure that they're there. I have no doubt. I've asked an officer, I was door dashing, they blocked off a road, looked like a raid. I asked if he knew how to get on the street. He was nice and helpful. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say that. The American police are generally very helpful, especially if you see them. I've never had, but I wouldn't walk into I guess the difference would be I wouldn't walk into a police station for directions. I don't know. Maybe I would. Okay, I've never had that scenario. I mean, actually, now at this point in my life, I would have no problem going in and asking officers in a police. But again, the Japanese in Japan, the police are just a little more visible. And again, they exist in those kobans to like help people. And so that's a little bit of a different dynamic. And again, I'm not saying our police aren't there to help people, but they're more there just to react. Like the police in Japan will, like, I have one time I was outside a train station, and they helped me get into the train, like pay the ticket and everything, because everything's in Japanese. They helped me do that. So I always thought that those kobans would be really cool. Like I always thought we should do that here in the United States, like especially in large cities, put an officer on every corner in a city. I mean, how much crime is going to go on? Like people aren't going to pull crap. I mean, people will still pull crap, but they'll learn pretty quick because the police see everything. Now we have cameras. I mean, cameras are really helping law enforcement. Check John Flax. He believes the police or the sovereign citizens bought the 300,000 who actually are. John Flax. I will. Laura, hi, just got here. May I ask what happens when two sovereign citizens get into an accident? I'm watching these videos for about a month now and have been wondering. I don't know, Laura. That's a good question. I do think I saw one video where there was an accident and the police came to the scene and the sovereign started pulling all her crap and then ended up getting arrested. I think they have to marry each other under the Magna Carta. Are you a Moor? No, I'm not a Moor. It's called a traveling accident. Quick joke. Two soft sits walk into a bar. Bartender says, "Get the fuck out." Pretty accurate. I never had any problems with any police. Generally polite, and they are too. Yeah, I've never really have either. When I was young, I had a few issues, but I deserved it every time. And they never like mistreated me. Soft sit never works. I wonder why they still try it. Man, people just believe this crap, man. They get brainwashed. I don't know what else to say except they get brainwashed. Bum, 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 bum. Boom, 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 boom. Miss V, yeah, I bet you did. I bet you did. One last thing. Why do so many sound stoned? I think the answer to that is obvious. What makes you think you're not a Moor? Boom, 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 boom. Because they live in the. I mean, unfortunately, it probably has worked a few times with cops. Yeah, I've seen it work. I posted a recent video where some sovereign was pulled over in looked like a national park. I think he was pulled over by a park ranger or like fish and wildlife, and the guy just looked the officer just looked like he didn't want to deal with it. Okay, the officer just didn't like he didn't want to deal with it, so he let the guy go. So it doesn't work. When the chief called in, he made a really good point. And that was sorry, I got distracted for a second. They don't believe in money. Why do they borrow it to buy things? I've been saying that forever. Oh, I'm sorry. What they do is they try to put a buffer and they try to delay. And sometimes the combination or one or two, okay, but like creating a buffer between them and the police and delaying, okay, is something that can be successful. Now, it doesn't mean that their language was successful, okay, but it does sometimes get law enforcement to go away. I think the park ranger wasn't willing to do anything because he had a valid license. Yeah, that may be the case. I mean, I would need to go back and look and see exactly what was going on there. I can't remember. But it did seem like he had committed a legit violation and the park ranger just didn't do anything about it. But maybe he didn't want to deal with it. Like, you don't know what else is going on. Don't need a card here in Canada. Weed is legal. Not money, it's fiat. Right? All right. All right. Sovereign citizens claim to be separate from the laws and government, but they cry about their rights. Hopefully the park ranger called over to local cops. They pulled. Yeah, I mean that was a couple of people's theories. Maybe it was yours, Carrie. That's very possible. Very possible. Hey, Taze, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. National parks don't have jail cells, so there's no place for a ranger to put the guy. Yeah, I don't know what they do, but he didn't even ticket him. Like, he could have just ticketed him and let him go. That's one way to deal with it. I want to see the fight that Josh wants to have with No Name. I don't know what's all going on there. Why are the states so slow in tackling paper terrorism? That's a good question, Joe Donna. I don't exactly know the answer. I do think that they are prosecuting those much more aggressively now. I think they're very aggressively prosecuting those. The ranger could have fed him to a mountain lion. With all this Tiger King stuff out here, maybe that's possible. John Flax is so deluded he thinks the police are the sovereign citizens, not the 300,000 who actually are. I'll have to look up John Flax. Is he like a notorious sovereign? Andrew, weed is legal down here. Yes, it is. Even mountain lions have better taste, Gary. Yes, Andrew. Anywhere in Canada, it's legal. You can buy any amount at the store. Ray Jean, the question I would have for you is: do you believe that that's reduced the crime rate in Canada? I wonder if it has, if it's had a significant impact. Sovereign citizenship is clearly a mental disease. Absolutely. Even better, it's considered essential and the weed store is still open. Nope. Nope. It hasn't reduced crime, or has it? Falax has a YouTube channel. Let's see. Oh, he's got 216,000 subscribers. Is this guy a sovereign citizen? Sheriff says it's not Nazi Germany. Three angles I've seen. Cops remove dangerous criminal off the streets. Is that Falax? Is he a sovereign citizen? Police are above the law. Do, 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 do. John Falax admits to setting his cruise control to 54 on a 50 and then for pulling him over for speeding. Well, most officers aren't going to pull someone over for doing 4 over. They might pull you over for doing 10 over. That's for sure. 216,000 idiots. I'm sure there are more. There are a lot. There are a lot. Where are most of the sovereign citizens at? That's a good question. I don't know where they're geographically located. I do think Philadelphia is a locus for the sovereign citizen Moors. I'm not true about that, but I do. I'm not true about that. I'm not sure about that, but I do think they might be. Philly might have a large, again, sovereign citizen Moor population, but there seem to be sovereign citizens everywhere. I mean, everywhere in the country, and frankly, everywhere all over the world now. They pulled him over for 60 and a 55, and his excuse was, "Oh, okay." He said it, so the officer was wrong. I gotcha. You can buy subs, or just people just getting caught for no license or registration. Red states are your best bet. See Carl go. A lot of the First Amendment frauditors buy subs. Well, I'm not willing to buy subs, so I'm not going to do that. Hey, Bruce, thanks for joining us. My policy: avoid law enforcement at all costs. Never talk to cops. Not a bad policy, Ken. I mean, unless you have to. We have some it's people who lost their license and think this is a way out. That's a big part of it. Like I said, in my book, I'm going to break down like a couple of categories of sovereign citizens, like 4 categories of sovereigns. And I think there's the down and out, okay? And those are the people who have lost their license or otherwise, and for some reason they think they can gain from this sovereign citizen thing, okay? So they adopt it. There's a down and out. There's a true believers, okay? And these are the people who actually believe it for whatever reason. They really truly believe it. Then you have the schemers, and these are the people who get into it just to scheme people. okay, just to make money off of it. And then I think you have the marks. And those are the people who get talked into it by the true believers or the schemers. And the marks probably cross over with the down and out. I mean, they're sort of one and the same. The down and outers and the marks, they probably mix. So that's why I think that's my categories. But listen, everyone, we're at an hour. I was only going to go an hour tonight. Thank you for stopping in. I appreciate everybody coming by. I hope you enjoyed this thread tonight. I hope that everybody's staying safe during this coronavirus and this lockdown. I pray for everybody to get through this and to get through this healthy and okay. Veronica, you're welcome. You're welcome. Everybody is welcome for the live feed. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great day. Common Sense Academy out.